Hey guys, Sarah here from Recovering Book Corridor. Please forgive my lighting. I just want to say that to start with. I don't know, it's like a pretty dreary day, and this is the second video I'm attempting to film, and even despite my ring light, like a million lights, it's still, the lighting is terrible, so I apologize. Although this one's better than the last video I shot, so. Alright, this is my TBR for November, but it is also my final recommendation list for nonfiction November. Because here's what happened. So, I wanted to make these 3 recommendation videos for nonfiction November. And at first I was like, despite this being one of my absolute favorite readathons, it's like, I have so much stuff that I need to get read. I had a whole nother set of plans for November. But as I was going through to make the recommendations for my 3rd video, which is recommendations 5 per category based on books from my to be read shelves here that I own, I was like, well, I think I want to just read those. So my nonfiction November recommendation video is actually turning into my nonfiction November TBR list, period. So I have a total of 20 books for this TBR plus one. Plus a bonus book, because I'm not going to spin my wheels, because for my 5-star predictions, it was actually one that I was choosing as a recommendation. And then the bonus book is, I only have 2 books left on my 21 books in 2021 list. So instead of spinning that wheel, I just chose the one that's nonfiction. So that one I'll show you guys last. But for those of you that do not know, Nonfiction November is a readathon that's hosted by Olive over at A Book Olive. And she primarily reads nonfiction, so this is like her thing. She does read some fiction, don't get me wrong, but I would say if I was going to connect her with a category, it would be nonfiction. So every year she gives us 4 categories that are just a suggestion for ways to choose TBR or to find books that will work for Nonfiction November. If you read just one nonfiction book, you are participating in Nonfiction November. As someone who reads a lot of nonfiction, I read nonfiction every single month. Every year I've really thrown myself into Nonfiction November, but this is the first year that I have made like all these recommendation videos and stuff also. So if you would like to check out my other videos, I will have them linked down in the description. I'll put the up here in the cards. I'm going to put my nonfiction November. It's actually like a readathon playlist that right now the only readathon on there is Nonfiction November. So that's linked up there. All right, so the 4 categories that Olive came up with for this year are industry, style, treatment, and collections. I am going to start with collections. So I'm going to give, I have 5 books, like I said, for each category. This was going to be my recommendations. Now it is my recommendations, but it is also what I'm going to be reading. So I don't know that I'm going to read all of these, but this is the stack that I'm going to be pulling from for the entire month. So we start with I'd rather be reading The Delights and Dilemmas of the Reading Life by Anne Bogle. And I collect books, so what's better than a book about books? And I should say too that she leaves these categories very loose so that you can interpret them really in any way that you feel fits. So I will explain to you why I chose the ones I did. I have another one about books, and that is Book Girl by Sarah Clarkson, A Journey Through the Treasures and Transforming Power of a Reading Life. So both of those, my personal collection. Because gosh, I have a lot. Next we have Life Moves Pretty Fast, The Lessons We Learned from 80s Movies and Why We Don't Learn Them from Movies Anymore by Hadley Freeman. And I feel that this fits the category because it is talking about movies, a collection of movies, and DVDs and Blu-rays is something else that we happen to collect in my house, and I adored 80s movies, still adore 80s movies. So I just think that this sounds like it will be a whole lot of fun. I think I had found this one over on Book Outlet at one point. I was like, yes, I need that in my life. Next up, and this is also a 5-star prediction, and that is Howard Stern Comes Again by Howard Stern. And this is a collection of his favorite interviews that he has done on the Howard Stern Show. Like, listen, I am not a huge Howard Stern fan. My husband is. I am not. However, he is one of the hands down best interviewers I have ever heard in my life. And so I will go through, I won't listen to his entire show, but I will go through and listen to his interviews. And so when he came out with this, it's like, I need to read this. So this is actually my husband's copy. And I've been keeping it in here until I read it. All right. And my final one for collection is Great Moments in Jewish History by Eleanor Slater and Robert Slater. Moments of joy, moments of despair, moments of courage, moments of creativity. And so this is a collection of great moments in Jewish history. All right, moving on to, let's move on to style next. Starting with The Butler's Guide to Running the Home and Other Graces. This is by Stanley Agar and Fiona St. Aubin. And if I remember correctly, he was the, they like referred to him when they were making Downton Abbey. Or no, there's a forward in here by the historical advisor to Downton Abbey. Somehow he's involved with Downton Abbey, though. Stanley Agar is one of the most celebrated butlers of the 20th century. He's the butler at St. Michael's Mount. Anyway, style. Home style. Butlers. Butlers are stylish, right? So, this has been on my shelf for quite a while as a gift from my friend Beverly. All right, the next two are food related, and I don't know about you, but I consider food to fall under the category of style because you eat with your eyes before you eat with your mouth, right? So it's style, but also these, you will see, these two are stylish books in and of themselves. So number one, the Goldberg Cookbook by Beverly Goldberg. And that is a style, guys. So, I love the 80s. All these wonderful, wonderful 80s recipes. But then there's also nice little wisdoms in here too from Mama Goldberg. And so I felt that this totally fits the style category. And the other one is From Crook to Cook by Snoop Dogg. And this is Snoop Dogg's cookbook, and I adore Snoop Dogg. I love his friendship with Martha Stewart so much. He is just he's so talented. I love his music. I think he is so entertaining. I adore him, and I think he has quite the style of his own, and he also rocks the Pittsburgh Steelers jerseys all the time. And I have really been looking forward to reading this one. Some really nice photographs in here too. So we're doing that. All right, next up, we have someone that I consider to be one of the kings of style, and that is Elton John. So we are going to read his memoir, Me. And I have heard that this is absolutely phenomenal. I have not watched the movie. I'll probably watch it after I read the book. This is one of my friend Jackie's favorites. And finally, we have Autism in Heels, The Untold Story of a Female Life on the Spectrum. This is by Jennifer Cook O'Toole. And is this a classic style? No, but we're talking about heels, and look at that cover. That is quite the stylish cover. So I'm making it work. All right, next, let's move into industry. First up, we have Harry, A History. The True Story of a Boy Wizard, His Fans, and Life Inside the Harry Potter Phenomenon by Melissa Anelli. And Melissa Anelli was, and I don't know, this might still be around, way back when, because I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I was listening to this it was a podcast, probably 17 years ago. Long time, and it was around before I started listening to it, and it was one of my favorite. It was called The Leaky Cauldron, is the name of the podcast, And this was like all the rage whenever we were waiting on books, you know, as the books were being released, the final books. I remember just obsessively stalking and re-listening to it over and over again, waiting for that 7th book, theories and all that stuff. So this is the story about the Harry Potter fandom. And so this industry here would be the fandom industry, as well as the industry that Harry Potter has spawned in and of himself. Next up, we are looking at the television industry, and that is showrunners. The art of running a TV show, featuring original interviews with Joss Whedon, Ronald D. Moore, Damon Lindelof, Sean Ryan, Terrence Winter, and many more. And this is by Tara Bennett. And I think I found this one on Book Outlet again, and it just sounded interesting because I always think, when I think of showrunners, I always think of reality shows. So this should be an interesting read. Next up, we are looking at the music industry in Comfortably Numb, The Inside Story of Pink Floyd by Mark Blake. And Pink Floyd is my hands down absolute favorite musical artist of all time. I've read several books about them at this point. I still have several more on my shelf. This is one of them. So we are going to read that this month. Next up, it is the office industry, corporate industry. The schmuck of my office. How to Deal Effectively with Difficult People at Work by Jodie J. Foster, MD MBA, with Michelle Joy, MD. And I'm hoping this is funny because the name of it sounded funny. I'm hoping it's funny yet informative. We will see. And last, we are back to... This is the Star Wars industry. It deserves to be its own industry, right? And that is How Star Wars Conquered the Universe, the Past, Present, and Future of a Multi-Billion-Dollar Franchise by Chris Taylor. This was one I had gotten from my husband because he's a huge Star Wars fan, and he was just not really interested in it, but I think it sounds interesting, so I am going to read it instead. Finally, we have the category of treatment. And this one, I had to really narrow down because I had so many that fell into this category. And this is what I have ultimately landed on. First up, Patient HM. A Story of Memory, Madness, and Family Secrets by Luke Dietrich. And this actually says, Oliver Sacks meets Stephen King in a piercing study of psychiatric medicine's darker hours. Mesmerizing, maddening story and a model of journalistic investigation. And this caught my attention a while back. And as someone who works in the psychology industry, I felt I really needed to read it. No More Mean Girls by Katie Hurley, LCSW. The Secret to Raising Strong, Confident, and Compassionate Girls. A guide for parents of girls ages 3 to 13. My child is 12. She'll be 13 in June. My nieces are younger. And don't we all... Girls are so mean. Oh, guys. Girls can be so mean. Cassidy was being bullied quite a bit before we took her out of public school and put her into cyber. And it just made her whole life miserable. And one of the things I said, I came up with 5 goals that I had as a parent whenever she was younger. And one of my goals was that my child was going to be kind. She was going to be kind to other people, regardless of who they were, what they were like, anything. She needed to be a kind person. And so I got this forever ago and haven't read it. And I can say it's going pretty good so far in my house. She is a very kind person, and thank God for that. So going to finally read this one just before she turns 13. All right, this one I know will be a tough read, and I know a lot of people would probably avoid this one, but I'm going to read it. And that is The Real Lolita, The Kidnapping of Sally Horner, and the novel that scandalized the world by Sarah Weinman. So, the book Lolita. This is the story that inspired that book. All right. How to Argue and Win Every Time, At Home, at Work, in Court, Everywhere, Every Day by Jerry Spencer. And I don't know about you, but I need to read this book and soak it in and really be able to run with that. So that's why we're reading that. All right, last but not least, this is a huge book, and this is going to have to be like how I've been doing this focus book, like I did with East of Eden, and I did with Roots this month, where I read like a specified number of chapters each day before I get to anything else. And that is Bonhoeffer, Pastor, Martyr, Prophet, Spy by Eric Metaxas. And he was imprisoned in a Nazi concentration camp back during World War II. And he just sounds like he was absolutely amazing. And there's like pictures and stuff in here. This was, I got during a Christmas exchange, Reddit Christmas exchange. And so I cut out the thing that she had written here. She said, I met this author once. He is a wonderful man, and Bonhoeffer is an inspiration and faith. And my pastor talks about this one a lot also, and so it was a must read. So, gonna read it. It's one of those intimidating books because I know that what he went through was horrific. He was martyred, and that's not going to be easy to read about. So I have been somewhat avoiding it, but I'm going to read it this month. All right, and my number 21 book. This is my, which is funny because it's my 21 books in 2021 book. So the other thing I'm reading this month is I Am Aspian Woman, The Unique Characteristics, Traits, and Gifts of Adult Females on the Autism Spectrum by Tanya A. Marshall, MSc. And, my daughter is on the autism spectrum, but I also have a lot of Asperger traits. I should preface by saying Asperger's, and the diagnosis formerly known as Asperger's. Don't get me started on that one. And yeah, like I took the quiz in here, and we'll talk about those. We'll talk about those results when we do my wrap up. Anyway, yeah, so that's my TBR for November, along with my final Nonfiction November recommendation video. Are you guys participating in Nonfiction November? I would love to hear. Like I said, this is one of my favorites. It gives me the best excuse to read all nonfiction all month long. And I love nonfiction so much. Anybody that says nonfiction is boring, you're crazy, because if you can see, there's just such a huge variety. There's just something for everybody out there. All right, guys, I would love to interact with you in the comment section. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more from me, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And if you want to find me other places, everywhere you can find me in the interwebs is in the description box. All right, guys, I will catch you later. Bye.